In this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of oversaturated niches and whether you should publish books in them or if you should look for those smaller, less competitive niches. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me here today. The big debate of publishing books on Amazon KDP is whether you should go into a big, popular, highly competitive niche or whether it's not worth the time or effort, it's too hard, and you should look for those smaller, more obscure niches with a lot less competition. So firstly, the title of this video is about the pros and cons of oversaturated niches, but I would like to just clarify that I personally don't think that anything is truly oversaturated. So I don't really like using that term, but I know that most people like to refer to popular niches as oversaturated. Secondly, let's just really quickly take a look at some of the most popular oversaturated niches on Amazon. First one we are looking at is coloring books. Coloring books would have to be the most popular low content book to publish, and for a good reason. The coloring book niche is huge, and not just on Amazon. Coloring has always been popular, but I feel like it really got a resurgence in the last few years, especially around being a tool to help with mindfulness, stress reduction, relaxation. What we can do is take a look at some of the BSRs of these books. The BSR is the bestseller rank, and it helps show us the popularity of a book in the Amazon marketplace. So this one here, 525 out of all books in the Amazon marketplace. So not out of all coloring books, that's out of every single book on Amazon. 208, 297, 291. You can see that coloring books are some of the most popular books in general on Amazon. 322, 227. And the great thing with coloring books is quite a lot of them, the most popular ones, are self-published through Amazon KDP. Another really popular niche. Journals is a huge low content book niche. Journals are just very popular with customers. You will find when you look for them on Amazon though, they do show a lot of non-self-published ones, a lot of these spiral-bound, hardcover type of books that are not published through Amazon KDP. But regardless, they are super popular right now as the self-help niche just continues to grow, and journaling is something that people do and they swear that it improves their mental health. Even though we're not seeing a lot of self-published books in this first page of search results on Amazon, self-published journals are actually really popular. The first one I've come across here is this one. We can see it's self-published because we can see the publisher says independently published, and it's a prayer journal. Super popular book on Amazon, 719 out of all books on the Amazon marketplace. And just as a real quick side note, something I've noticed this week on Amazon, I'm not sure if anyone else has had this update, but I can see here when I'm looking at books that are not published through KDP, it started to show this little line here, which is telling me how many of these books have been bought in the past month, which I find is really interesting, and I really hope they bring it in for the KDP books as well, because then we wouldn't have to go use those calculators to try and estimate how many books are selling. But this is so interesting because we always have wanted to know how many books are selling based on a bestseller rank. That is totally off track. So let's keep looking at some more popular niches. The next one is activity books. This is another hugely popular niche, and this one's usually aimed more at kids. Kids love activity books, whether it's a fun type of activity book or puzzle book, or whether it's an educational style of activity book, so something more educational and school-like. I've talked a lot about activity books with an educational element recently, so if you haven't seen any of those videos, go check them out because I really go deep into the niche, looking at the kinds of books in this niche and why it's so popular. But if you've been watching as I'm scrolling, there's some fantastic bestseller ranks under activity books. I've seen some in the 200s there. There's one for 174. Of course, they are not self-published books, but in general, just looking at this niche overall, you can see it's extremely popular by these really low bestseller ranks across all these books so far that are in these search results. And the last one we'll look at today is the children's picture book niche, probably one of the most popular book niches in the world. The amount of children's picture books available is insane, and people just continue to publish them. I don't think I really need to explain why this niche is so popular. It's pretty obvious, but everybody wants to publish a children's book. You have celebrities and famous people publishing them, and it makes you wonder why, doesn't it? Why do people continue to publish books in these niches that are already so-called saturated with so many other options? And that's what we're going to go over now. I regularly see comments on my videos about a certain niche being oversaturated, that there's no point making coloring books or journals because you'll never make money. There's too many other books out there already. But if that's the case, why do successful authors, celebrities, and publishers continue to publish these kind of books? Before we get into that, I would like to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of online classes and members. I myself have been a member of Skillshare for a couple of years now, and I can always find something new and fun to learn that I can apply to either my business or my life. And if you're interested in expanding your own skills, you can do that with Skillshare, whether it be with something career focused like graphic design, illustration, entrepreneurship, or creative writing, or even simply learning a new hobby like painting. I love Ali Abdaal and I've taken many of his classes already. One that I have enjoyed this week was all about productivity, called Productivity Masterclass, Principles and Tools to Boost Your Productivity, because I am taking on more projects as my business is growing, and I want to make sure that I'm being as productive as I can with the time that I have. If you're interested in trying Skillshare for yourself, the first 500 people to click the link down in the description box below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. This trial does give you access to the complete library of classes, so you can go and learn something new right now, today. Okay, let's get back to the video. So where there is competition, there is demand. The reason that these niches are so popular is simply because there is a demand for them from customers. Customers continue to buy them. They are always going to be popular books with customers, and so people want to get into that niche and try to be one of those books that goes viral or takes off, however you want to describe it. And where there's demand, there's money being spent, and a lot of it. There are so many customers in these niches buying books. They are spending a lot of money, and the lure of that amount of money being spent in these niches pulls a lot of people in. For example, in the coloring book niche on Amazon, KDP, if you can build a brand like Jade Summer has hundreds of coloring books, some of the most popular coloring books on Amazon. This Helium 10 plugin is telling me that out of the search results for Jade Summer, it's estimating that over 6,400 sales have been made in the last 30 days. Another really popular coloring book brand on Amazon is Coco Yo. I think it's Coco Yo. Just as popular as Jade Summer, and again with hundreds of coloring books available on Amazon, and some of the most popular coloring books are published by them. If you could build a brand similar to these two publishers, the amount of royalties that you would be making each month is just insane. I have shared videos on both of these brands in the past, and in those videos we looked at the possible royalties that they could be making each month, and these brands are making tens of thousands of dollars every month from sales on Amazon. Scrolling through just the search results for coloring book, this Mindful Patterns coloring book for adults is currently one of the most popular coloring books as of right now. Let's scroll down and take a look at the bestseller rank. Currently sitting at 208 out of every single book in the Amazon store. And if we take that BSR and estimate the amount of books being sold, that's approximately 6,200 books per month, just from one book. The royalty they are receiving on this book is 75 cents, which is way too low. It seems that they might need to update their pricing after the changes KDP implemented recently with printing costs. So they should be getting a lot more than that. But anyway, even with that 75-cent royalty, timesing that by 6,200 books, this book would be making them around $4,600 per month. If they did update the pricing of their book to $7.99, which is more in line with what other coloring books price their books at, they would be making more like $12,000 per month. They could almost triple what they're making if they just went in and updated their pricing to match all the other colouring books that are available for sale. But anyway, that draw of getting your book to be one of these best-selling books in these niches is why so many people publish books in them. Don't reinvent the wheel. There is a reason why people continue to make books in these niches, and that is because they're not going anywhere. These niches have always been popular and they always will be. And sometimes people want to go off and find that elusive niche that nobody else has found yet, and it just has a ton of customers waiting for someone to publish a book for them. And if you can just find it and be the first one there, you'll hit a gold mine. Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but niches like that just do not exist anymore. There are no undiscovered niches. That ship has sailed. Usually, if there are not new books being published in a specific niche, there is a reason for it. That reason being that people are not buying books in that niche and it is just not profitable. With all that to say, I'm not saying that if you do choose to publish books in these smaller, less competitive niches, then you are not going to be successful and you're not going to make any money. I'm not saying that. In fact, some people prefer this strategy where you do find these smaller niches where you'll make less money in them, but then the strategy is find more of these smaller niches and publish more books. And eventually, over time, those small amounts of royalties will really build up and you can make a substantial income from that. The good thing with the popular niches, though, is that the potential time it can take to see success can happen a lot quicker and on a much larger scale than those other smaller niches, because if you do get a book to become popular, it will take off really quick. And that is just due to the sheer amount of customers buying in that niche. People love to follow the crowd, and if they see one thing being bought a lot all of a sudden, they don't want to miss out. They want it too, and the amount of people buying your book can really build up really quick. Of course, there are some downsides to popular niches too. I'm not going to pretend it's all good. It's not all overnight success with dollar bills raining down on you. In fact, for the majority of publishers, it's quite the opposite. One downside is that the amount of that competition means it is really a lot harder for your book to be noticed in the crowd. You really do have to work hard to differentiate your book, to give customers a reason to choose your book out of all the others. You will have to invest in marketing, whether that be with money, using that money to invest in Amazon ads, or whether it be with your time by spending a lot of time promoting your book through free methods like social media. With smaller niches, you can usually publish a book and just leave it there, do nothing or do very little marketing with it, and eventually a few customers will find it because you're just not competing with as many other books in that niche. With those oversaturated niches, it can be a really hard process before you see any kind of success, and that means it's harder to stay the course. A lot of people give up because it can be hard to get into these niches, and that's when you'll hear people say, the niche doesn't work, you'll never make money, it's oversaturated, don't even bother. And so if you do want to go into these popular niches, you just need to have a plan and stay focused, keep working on it, and just keep going. What kind of niches do you prefer publishing books in? The more popular oversaturated niches or the smaller, less competitive ones? Personally, I like the popular niches. I like to go where the demand is and where the customers are and where I know the customers are buying. I like the challenge of those niches, and also those are just the kind of books that I enjoy making and that I actually use in my life. And so it makes sense for me to gravitate towards those niches. If you're not sure which niche or niches you would prefer to publish books in, then maybe spend some time doing some niche research. Make a few books across a few different niches and learn about what ones it is that you do enjoy making, and maybe start seeing some sales in. Once you do start publishing books, you'll very quickly learn which direction that you would like to go in. I hope you found this video insightful into the differences between oversaturated niches and the not saturated niches. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.